What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. We are live breaking down game number 58 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season, defeating the Buffalo Sabres in what turned out to be a lot closer of a game than it really should have been. A 6-3 win in this one. You were winning 5-0. Feels like it's going to be pretty comfortable. You're going to be able to skate away with this one pretty clean, and next thing you know, it is 5-3, and you need Ryan O'Reilly to get the hat trick in this one to close it out here. Fourth career hat trick in the NHL for Ryan O'Reilly. He does it in his third game with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So 4 points, I guess, for him at this point. 4 points in 3 games played for Toronto. Not a bad way to start. And for anybody at this point who was doubting, can Mitch Marner, John Tavares, and Ryan O'Reilly play together? 3-game sample size, not that big, but you know what? Looks pretty good to me so far. I am more than happy to keep that line together and see what they can continue to do. We did see quotes from Sheldon Keefe where he told John Tavares, this is not a one-off. We're going to keep you there. We're going to see how this goes. And I think that's a fine idea. Like, one thing people kind of forget or are very quick to forget is that at the beginning of this season, there was a lot of conversation around, can John Tavares continue to play as center? Should we move him to the wing? Where is legs at? How is his speed going to be? Well, his speed got better this season compared to where it was at last year. That being said, it didn't take any tremendous steps forward, and at this point in his career, you're not really going to get that out of him. So you bring in another premier center in the NHL and you say, JT, you're going to move over to the wing where you did in the World Cup of Hockey, where you played alongside Getzlaf and Stamkos, and we'll see what you can do there. And guess what? You play alongside 2 world-class players yet again, and you're going to find a way to be an effective player. You're going to find a way to fit into that role, and that's exactly what John Tavares has done so far on that line. I think it's going to take a little bit of adjustment period, maybe a slight one, but even look at this game here tonight. You get John Tavares, just a great night for him. Walks away from this one with a goal and 3 assists on the night. He's +4. Like, can you ask for much more from the guy? Mitch Marner walks away, 5 assists. O'Reilly, 3 goals, 1 assist. Like, that line was buzzing. They came out. They looked incredible to start. So, hey, I'm pretty happy with them. And you look at those plays that were scored or that contributed to goals or created goals. Those weren't just fluke plays or anything like that. Those were very nice plays. Globetrotter-esque type situations with that line. They looked really, really good. But before we go any further on this one, I do want to remind people, if you are watching right now and you have not hit that subscribe button, please make sure to do so. Just hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the playoff time. We are short of that right now, but we are on the pathway there. If you guys can help out everyone who clicks subscribe, it is greatly appreciated. It goes a long way. Every subscribe counts. And another thing that helps us is if you have not hit like on this stream, please make sure to do so. There's about a quarter of you who have hit like. Understand some people don't have accounts they're logged into and stuff, so we get that. You can't hit like, but if you are on an account you're logged in on, hit that like button. It helps this video get out there, helps people find it, helps people find this channel, and helps us get even closer to that 5,000 subscriber mark that we were talking about. So maybe you guys can make a decision of what I do with my hair come playoff time here. Do I grow this thing out? Maybe that's what we'll do. 5K mullets again, because at this point the hair is long and outrageous. But we'll get there. We'll figure out what to do by the playoffs. But I'm seeing a lot of demand for it. I'm gonna play it just for fun. You already know what it is. I have some things to say about this guy from his game tonight. Undeniably, it was not the greatest game. I think one thing that this shows us more than anything is there still needs to be improvements made to this lineup, and I think that it starts and likely ends with defense. You got to go out. I would be much more interested in pushing and trying to get a bigger defenseman or a bigger name defenseman, a more impactful defenseman in here than I would to get a mid-level defenseman and push for a top and another forward who can fit in the top 9, or maybe even if you're trying to get another guy who can fit in the top 6. At this point, I would much rather just improve on the defense and then say, hey, that's where we're at. Put your chips in on that. You went in on a big name forward. You got him. You got the extra guy to round out your top, your forward group in Noel Acciari. And one thing I think Noel Acciari is going to help with a lot is playing alongside Aston Reese. I see some comments about Reese here tonight and the game that he had. I think people needed to temper their expectations a little bit, because kind of walk away and be like, oh, a guy like Aston Reese is going to, you're looking at his point production and it's not there. He's relatively quiet on a nightly basis, but that's kind of what you expect from him. More so what you're looking for is that physical game. Can he block shots? Can he get in the zone and cycle? Can he forecheck hard? Can he hit guys? And he's got one hit on the night here tonight, but I don't think that does justice to the night that he had. I thought he looked pretty good. I thought he had energy, and I think he's going to continue to have that playing alongside a guy like Noel Acciari. Like, I think Noel Acciari was a big, big piece in that trade that's kind of being overlooked here about why some pieces were shipped out to St. Louis in that deal. And it's because you were able to get a guy like Noel Acciari, and you were able to get 75% of Ryan O'Reilly's salary retained by St. Louis and Minnesota. So I think it was a good trade all around. You get those pieces. You're not done. There's more that you got to get. You have to go out. You have to improve on a Justin Holl, because even in a game like tonight, Sandin injured still, so you see Timmins. Look, I'm going to say right now, Timmins is not ready to play full shift in the playoffs. As it stands right now, I think Timmins is a guy who can play regular season. I would be fine with keeping him in the regular season and letting him figure things out, see if he can figure things out. Outside of that, it's not going to be something that you're going to want to roll out there every night in the playoffs. A guy like Liljegren, Gio, you can keep them. Brody, they're going to stay in this thing. Like, they're going to be here. Riley is not going anywhere ahead of this trade deadline. Or at this trade deadline even. So you're likely looking to have to make an improvement on Justin Holl and potentially even Rasmus Dahlin at this point. And it's not to say Sandin's not good enough, but he has been shaky as of late. It's been about the last month and a little bit that Dahlin hasn't been playing at the level that he was ahead of everyone's injuries when he was being relied upon that much. And you kind of seen a little bit of a dip in him. Now you're in his play. Now you're seeing the product of this, where you have to play, for some unknown reason, Morgan Riley alongside Justin Holl. That is probably the worst pairing you could put together. I just don't even know what to say putting those guys as a D pair, because Riley, not defensive. Holl, the only thing he's got essentially is that he can play, or kind of play, when the puck is in his own zone already, but outside of that, he can't do much, and when the puck's entering his zone, he can't. You're looking at a situation where, like, on the Skinner goal, he's skating the wrong way. He's skating the wrong way in the neutral zone as Skinner's going past him on the outside. The puck gets to Skinner, and he's trying to turn around and go back. He's not going to catch that guy. He never is. He doesn't have the agility. He doesn't have the foot speed. He doesn't have the natural speed in general. And he doesn't have the awareness to be able to get into the right place to take on positioning against a guy who's attacking the net. I think you've gone out and you've really done a good job with upgrading your forwards. I think you're going to be in a good spot there. But this is the defense tonight that you look at and you go, okay, this needs to be improved on, because they can't do it. They can't do it. And that's what happens late in the game here. I think part of this is Samsonov didn't have the greatest game in the third period here tonight, and it makes things look a little bit worse. But seeing Holl, seeing Riley play together, it is ugly, and it can't happen in the playoffs. It can't. Riley needs to be alongside someone who stabilizes him. He can't be alongside someone that he has to stabilize. Holl also, if he's going to be in this lineup, has to be alongside someone that can stabilize him. That would either be a TJ Brody or a Mark Giordano. Otherwise, I think he can't be in this lineup because it's just really not good enough. And for anybody who's saying trade Riley, like, I get it. We're kind of at the point of just like, what is this guy doing? We don't like the contract, etc. He's not getting traded at this deadline. We just have to accept that the other pieces around him could be traded. I do want to remind people, if you want to call in, please join the Leafs Digest Discord. I'll send the link again right now for people to find. If you do want to call in, make sure to click this link, join the Discord. You can send me a message and we'll take some calls and hear what people are thinking, how people feel about this team, this game tonight. Because truthfully, you come out in this one against Buffalo, and this is a team who's trying to push for the playoffs. They feel like maybe they're going to have a shot, and they're a team that traditionally Toronto hasn't played well against. You saw them last year, not good. Year before, there's some struggles as well. And then you kind of get to a spot where it's like, all right, we're going to play against a team who's hungry for something. We just lost to Chicago. How are we going to bounce back? How are we going to respond? Typically, you don't get too much of a response out of a Toronto team, but maybe guys like Achari and Ryan O'Reilly are enough of a voice and a presence in there to say, like, guys, we're not doing this. Like, we're not losing to these guys. We're not going down this way. And out they come out the gates, and O'Reilly just starts with an incredible game here tonight. 2 goals in the first period. He's absolutely buzzing. So maybe, just maybe, they have that presence about them to say, no, this isn't happening. We're not losing to this team. We're not losing this way. And then things can really, really, really start to turn around for you if you have guys like that who maybe are a little bit more vocal leaders in there, and then physical presences that can kind of change things. And I think that maybe that is what Ryan O'Reilly can bring, and that's what they're looking for. This is a guy who did win a Conn Smythe, won a Stanley Cup very recently. He's a Selke type player. I don't know. I think that this is a great move by them. And I think that you see in a game like tonight, it goes a long way. It really goes a long way having that happen. Again, though, if anyone wants to call in, please make sure to send a message. I'll get you a link. You can call in. Let us know your thoughts on the game here tonight, on this Leafs team so far this season, specifically after this trade deadline. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts. Call in if you have things to say. Call in if you got opinions. And or ahead of this trade deadline. But yeah. Pro Guide Entertainment, would you trade a Matthews for the game-breaking top D-man? No. Would not. Would Edmonton trade Connor McDavid for game-breaking defenseman right now? I don't think so. Matthews is having a down year offensively. It is what it is, but this is not, are we in a trade Austin Matthews type conversation. I think that is a little bit absurd. You're still looking at the guy, he's going to score 30 this year. If he goes on a run, he could potentially score 40, but no, that ain't it. That ain't it. Steven Beer saying, hey, Zach, O'Reilly might be the killer instinct we need for the playoffs. What a performance and a Hattie in a Leafs uniform. I agree. Again, O'Reilly, yes, the killer instinct. We see that here tonight. You see that on the play where he scores the empty net goal too. It's not the prettiest. It gets a little bit lucky, of course. But that being said, the grit, the passion to get that puck to the net, he's battling through. You're seeing a guy who just by sheer force is saying, we are going to, or like, I'm scoring this goal and we're winning this game here tonight. And Noel Acciari, I think, is a guy who can drag you into the fight a little bit from the bottom end. You look at how this lineup was constructed prior to, you look at how they are now with Noel Acciari in there. That is a very good fourth line player. And that's a guy that you look at like Tampa's and Boston's, they'd like to acquire, and they probably have guys like that in their lineups anyways that they're already looking at saying, hey, these are the guys who can make an impact. These are the Blake Colemans, Corey Perrys, etc. Now you look at Toronto, you go out and you acquire a guy like Noel Acciari in that deal, you significantly upgraded your team. So Pretty happy with that. Yeah, I don't know. This is like that game-breaking type stuff. But again, it goes back to defense. Looking at what goes on the first goal there, Engvall causes a turnover. Timmins makes a terrible read on that play. He crosses the ice onto his partner's side, tries to pinch to hold the zone, doesn't fully commit to the pinch either. You kind of end up with a Buffalo odd man situation coming back the other way towards you. TJ Brody gets in a spot where he doesn't know if the back checker is going to get back. He doesn't commit to the pass or the shot fully. Samsonov gets beat. You look at the second goal. Tuck skates through everyone from his own blue line. Like, just skates right through everyone from his own blue line. Hall and Riley are basically flat-footed standing there. They can't gap up. They can't get back fast enough. They can't do anything. They're in no man's land. He just walks right around Morgan Riley to the outside, able to get a shot off. That should have been a save, 110%. Samsonov, not a good goal he allows in there. That being said, it was created by bad defense, bad defensive play. Can't shore up the neutral zone, can't clog things up from the defensive perspective of guys being able to step up from your defenseman, and it allows a goal in the back of the net. And then final goal, like you're looking at the third goal that they score, Engvall dishes to O'Reilly. O'Reilly misses, or gets saved, I guess. Puck comes back. Buffalo breaks out of the zone. Hall and Riley are in no man's land. Hall tries to step up, I guess, to pick off the pass. Makes a terrible, terrible read. Terrible play on that one. Dishes across to Skinner. Skinner steps in at right around Hall. There's no defensive pressure and is able to shoot and score there. It's just a bad defensive effort, and there needs to be a lot more from this Leafs defense, and I think they got to go out and acquire players to make that happen. Super chat here from Colin Gillis. Colin didn't say McGillis. Thank you, Colin, for the super chat. Colin didn't say anything. If you have something to say, you can send another message. I'll make sure to read it out, but there is a super chat there from Colin McGillis. So thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Also seeing some people just showing love to the channel. That is very much appreciated. If you are here, you enjoy the content, you enjoy the channel, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It is very much appreciated. It goes a long way. It helps us a lot get out there and get found by more people and grow this channel even more, maybe allow us to do some other things with it, whether it be outside of just streams and sitting down here in the chair doing videos. Maybe there we can find a way to get out on the streets and maybe do some man on the street type stuff if that's of interest to people. But yeah, liking the channel, subscribing, that helps us out a whole lot. So thank you guys for that. For the support and everything that you guys do here. But yeah, if you could like the channel, subscribe, that would be very much appreciated. All right. Rick Ryan here saying, and again, Colin, you can write a comment and I'll read it out. But yeah, I saw you didn't write a message at the super chat. But Rick Ryan saying, what we got to give up for Gibson? I want to caution people greatly on John Gibson. Look, I've said on here before, I will continue to say, but oftentimes goaltenders, more than anybody else, can be products of their environment. You end up in a situation where your team can't defend to save their goddamn lives, and you're going to look a whole lot worse. That being said, John Gibson hasn't really been John Gibson for about 4 years now. This is the fourth year in a row that he just really hasn't been that. And Anaheim, yeah, they haven't been great, but they haven't been this bad. And now you're starting to see maybe Gibson isn't completely that player that you're looking at of like, hey, this is a game-changing goaltender. I think he'd probably have some success here, but I don't think looking at him is like, oh, that's the answer. I also just kind of sit here and look at it and think like, you know what? A goalie trade at the deadline has never really worked out for anyone to be a super successful type of move or type of venture. And Is that what we're looking for here? Like, are we going to try to swing for the fences to bring in a goalie for in a spot where like you're going to try trade for a declining goalie who hasn't been that great? I don't really think that that's ideal. I think you look at upgrading the guys in front of him because you make your defense a whole lot better. Your goaltender is going to naturally look better alongside it. Sorry, guys. Need that water. Do a bunch of different shows during the day, so spend most of my day talking, and then went to the golf simulator before the Leafs game. So being a long one, need the water, need the hydration there. I am interested to hear what you guys would be looking for to go out and acquire. Would you be looking for a defenseman? Would you be looking for an impact defenseman? Who's a realistic player you in the chat would be looking for to acquire at this deadline? If it is a defenseman, would you be looking for a top four? Would you be looking for a bottom pair? If you are not looking at a defenseman, are you looking at top six forward? Are you looking at a top nine? Are you looking to fill out that fourth line? Like, where are you looking at? Let me know in the chat. I'm very curious to kind of hear everyone's opinions on where they lean towards, of what they want. And yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the chat and get some outside opinions on what's going on and where we kind of stand ahead of this deadline, because I don't know. I feel like you can still go out there and swing for the fences on maybe another big name defenseman, and I don't know. I don't necessarily rule Chychrun out of everything. I don't completely rule him out. Tim Manto, Chychrun is not the guy. Eric Sorrenzia looking to free up minutes for Justin Hall. You're out of your goddamn mind.
Good one, Randy. Good one.
Yeah, good one, Randy. Good one, Eric. Good one. We're not freeing up minutes for number 3. That ain't happening. We're not playing number 3. We're getting number 3 out of here. That's the goal. That's the goal here. Get number 3 out. And that's my goal, at least. But, again, if you guys are here right now, do want to support the channel, please make sure to like and subscribe. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Very much appreciated. Here we go. Here's a trade suggestion that is interesting here. Warrior Womp saying Kerfoot for Klingberg, 50% retained, $3.5 million for $3.5 million. Look, I think that is a little bit of a generous proposal from the Anaheim perspective to eat half, trade the guy, and take on Kerfoot. That being said, they're both expiring contracts. They probably don't care because they're terrible. They're trying to be terrible. But here's the thing with John Klingberg. John Klingberg has not been traditional John Klingberg this year, and he is not a defensive defenseman. He's got... Yes, again, product of your own environment. Minus 29 on the season. Last year with Dallas, minus 28. Year before that, minus 15. Plus minus obviously doesn't tell the entire story, but it tells part of it. And John Klingberg has been a offense-first defenseman for basically his whole career, and it's really gotten to a point recently where he is just an offensive defenseman. He's just kind of getting to that point. So, the offensive production hasn't even been there completely. I think that the defenseman that's got to come in here has to be a guy who can play shutdown. He's got to be a guy who can be physical, but they have to be able to move the puck. That is a mandatory piece that is required for this defenseman to come back. They have to be able to move their feet. They have to be able to pass, because bringing in another guy like Justin Hall is not going to be sufficient. Colin McGillis, another super chat. Colin, you don't have to send a super chat this time. Just send the message that you want to write. I appreciate you sending the super chats as always. I appreciate everyone who sends the super chats, but there you go. Colin McGill is saying, why do you think there has been a decline in defensive play since Riley's return? You can almost pinpoint the decline in the defense since he's returned. I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think so either. I don't think it's a coincidence either. Look at the way he plays. I think it throws everything out of whack. You basically, before he came back, had a full buy-in from everyone to play the same way, and I think everyone kind of looks around and they sit there and they can say to themselves, they can say to each other, none of us are offensive stalwarts. We're not these incredibly inclined offensive defensemen who can do that. So let's buy into the system and buy into the game. We're all going to be demanded to play a lot more minutes. We're going to be demanded to play in a more relied upon role. You got to kind of fit into that. Let's do it. You kind of get in a spot too where you're going to be playing above your minutes, out of your weight class against players that you're not normally playing. Maybe you play a more simple style of hockey. You kind of tighten things up. Riley comes back. He immediately makes his defensive pair worse because he is not that player. He is not very good defensively. He clearly doesn't have that ability to buy in and play that way. He's a little bit of a riverboat gambler where he's going to take some ridiculous chances and try things. So I think that part comes in, and then I think it just starts to tip over some of the other dominoes. Maybe they don't all fall over at once, but it's a slight lean on them where they start to push a little bit. And you start to see he comes back, so his pairing's a little bit worse now. Now, the other pairings shift around. Maybe they're not as comfortable with those guys. Maybe they don't match up as well with them. Maybe the chemistry's not there, whatever it is. You end up in a spot where things kind of look different outside of that. And now you're looking at, that pair is playing differently. We're playing against lesser competition than we were before. We can take some more chances, maybe start to get out of things. But yes, you are 100% right. Things did change. I'm just trying to speculate of what happened here and why things changed the way that they did when he came back, because it's hard to explain for everyone else. Super chat here from Jeff McKay. Thank you, Jeff, for the super chat. Jeff saying, I want Hall gone. I want a stay-at-home defenseman. I'll take anyone who can play defense. Loved the Hattie for O'Reilly. Thank you, Jeff, for the super chat. And as far as the comments go, I wish I had more to say. I don't. You basically hit it on the head. Want Hall gone. Same. Want a stay-at-home defenseman. Look, I agree to an extent on that. I think a guy who is a shutdown defenseman is good, but they have to be able to advance the puck for me. They have to be able to move their feet. They have to be able to advance the puck up the ice, because otherwise you're just going to end up screwed where a guy can't use his legs to get out of things, can't get pucks up the ice, can't make things happen that way. So yeah, I agree to an extent. I think they have to be able to move their feet, though. That's one condition for me on this one where I look at it and say, that has to be met. We need that to happen. The guy has to be able to move their feet and play in the game that way. And, of course, I absolutely loved the hat trick for O'Reilly. There's no getting around that. It felt real good watching that happen. He scored now 4 career hat tricks, does it in Toronto. In his 3rd game with the team. So you got to feel good for him. You can imagine he's going to get the belt tonight. Great night for Ryan O'Reilly. Great night for the Leafs with their new acquisitions. You look at Nola Chari, guy leads the team tonight in hits with 7. And people want to sit here and say, hey, we need physicality. We need heavy hitters. There you go. Look at this one tonight. 7 hits from Nola Chari. 7 hits. That is a Great night from a guy that you're asking to come in here, be an energy guy, be a physical presence. He does that. And again, it's not that big of a guy. He's not a huge monster of a man. It's the way that he plays. It's the style of game that he plays that is big. 5'10", 209 pounds. And nobody's complaining about Noel Acciari being a small guy because he comes in here and he plays big. That's what you need from guys. That is what you need. You need guys like that to come in and do that kind of stuff. Robert Smith mentioning good hits too. Yes, precisely. It is the right time, the right place. It is in a physical position where you are chasing somebody down. You can hit them hard into the boards. You're chasing guys back up the ice. You're just make guys look around. Make guys look over their shoulder and kind of second guess things and start asking questions about where you are on the ice. And that's what Noel Acciari did here. So happy with Noel Acciari. I think that is a great addition to this. I think he's a great addition to this lineup. Justin Millett saying, if Hall is in the lineup, fire Dubas. Any GM could have given up an entire draft class for O'Reilly and Acciari. Yeah, I guess they kind of went balls to the wall with getting that cap or that salary moved around. So I don't think maybe everyone could have done that, but I don't want him in the lineup either. I don't want 3 in the lineup. I think that's a terrible spot to be in if he's got to be in this lineup in any position other than the 7th defenseman. Craig Harrison saying, I'm not worried about Hall as much as Riley. Hall is gone this year, and Riley is here for another 6 years. I mean, fair enough. Right now, my focus is not on future contracts. My focus is on what this team can do this season, and Riley's not going anywhere. We can express that concern. I'm not going to dismiss it. I'm not trying to invalidate it. I get it. It is a valid opinion to be worried about that, especially going forward. But right now, as it stands with this team, you can't get to a position where you can't get to a spot where you're looking at it like he could be gone this year. So you got to accept what he is. You got to accept what he has, and I think you can find ways around it. You got to find ways to improve elsewhere. I think that's reality, and upgrading over number 3, that should be one of them. Dan Freeman saying Jordan Greenway and play him with Matthews. They killed on a line at World Juniors. Nothing against Bunting, but JG is a guy that can protect Matthews. I'm not opposed to getting Greenway. I like him as a player. I like what he brings. Minnesota's likely looking to move on from him. They're in a bad spot there in the West playoffs. You're looking at right now in the West, Minnesota's holding on to the second wild card. They're a point back of the Oilers, but they're 4 points up on Calgary, and Calgary's the team that's chasing. They just got surpassed by Colorado based on win percentage. Likely not going to be able to catch up to them, especially as they continue to go and play the way that they are down the stretch. But I don't know. I don't know that they even know what they are. You got Kaprizov. You kind of got to make things happen, but I don't know. I would appreciate Greenway, but I don't even know that he fits in the top 6 here. I don't know that he does, and I don't know that he has immediate chemistry with Matthews, whereas Bunting, we know that he does. Lots of questions here about things going on. Mark saying they need a number 1 D-man. Changes the whole game if Riley is on second pairing. Changes the whole game if Riley's even 1B. If he can go and be 1B, then that changes everything. Get him a better guy to get him a big guy to play with who's better than him, and he doesn't have to be the go-to guy. You might see him become a much better player. I think that is true of him. Dumba, Parayko, maybe those are guys to look at. I think Parayko would be a hard sell to get. You already made your trade with St. Louis. I don't know that you can go back in and get him like get another guy that's a big piece and rip him out of there. But fair enough. I like Parayko as well. Handshake line respect. This is a great point. Riley's an offensive D-man with a shot that isn't a threat. Yeah, that is one of my concerns with him as well. And that's one reason why I kind of look and say, like, I wouldn't mind getting somebody who can play the first power play. Somebody who can be that guy to be the piece ahead of him because, yeah, you're right. He doesn't really have that threatening shot at all. And it just kind of nullifies the power play and the threat that you could potentially have on the power play because you've got a defenseman out there who really can't make a difference that way. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch. But yeah, I'm on the same page. Steven Beer. Zach, if we win around, this whole city is going to explode. It'll be like winning a cup or making a Stanley Cup final appearance. What do you think? Would agree. I think that the city would go nuts. I think it would be premature, really, especially given the whole point is winning the Stanley Cup, not around. I think we would get trolled online like crazy, but I do think it would explode. But let's get to the cup. Let's just make it that simple. Get to the cup, and then we'll worry about everything from there. Meg saying, are you okay with rolling with Wall, or do you think Dubas needs to look? All right. I've been listening to some people. Craig Button, Chris Johnson, Elliot Friedman. The belief seems to be they're not looking for a goaltender. I think what happened with the Riddick situation not too long ago was a slight deterrent in terms of all right, we've got this guy. We gave up a third-round pick, and he never even played. You took time, energy, and effort into going and finding that guy, trading for him, and it never did anything for you, and you didn't need them. I think, personally, if you upgrade on guys ahead of them, in front of the goaltenders, you don't end up in as much of a concerning position. I think that you get better defensemen in front, you make this team more defensive, and all of a sudden you aren't as worried about your goaltenders because you're not giving up prime scoring opportunities. You're not giving up crazy rushes and allowing shots to be deflected on your own goaltender in tight because guys can't box out. So I think upgrade the guys in front, and then the goalie situation will sort itself out. I mean, look at Murray, look at Samsonov. If either of these guys gets hot, they can be one of the best goalies in the world. And you got a team in front of you who, if they can play and shut things down defensively, I don't think you got to worry. Like, was Darcy Kemper, Pavel Francouz, and Michael Hutchison the most ideal pairing or goaltending group for the Colorado Avalanche last year? I think they'd probably say themselves no. Like, I think Joe Sakic would say no, they weren't the ideal ones. But who are you going to get at the deadline that's available that's a game-changing goaltender? Don't think those guys really exist out there. So it's going to be hard to acquire anybody at all at the deadline and just expect them to come in here and just be some type of impact player. Super chat from Michael. Michael, thank you very much for the super chat. Michael saying, team definitely can be without number 3. Oh, I see what you're saying. You had to do that double take. Team can definitely be without number 3, Kerfoot, Murray, Sandin, Riley, Engvall. Total of $19 million to free up cap space. Trade 44 is difficult but not impossible. Depends on the will of the GM. Need to upgrade the D and need forward with grit. Okay. The team can be without number 3. Would agree. Could probably be without number 15. Would agree. Murray. What are you going to get for him at the deadline this year? Like, we're talking about, like, deadline. Like, let's talk now, not summer conversations. Now, not end of season, draft, none of those. Let's not talk about that. We're talking about now. Hall, sure, could be without him. Kerfoot, sure, could be without him. Murray, I don't think you can sit here and confidently say or accurately say can be without him. And the reason for that is because what if Samsonov goes down? Then what? You got nobody other than Wall. And okay, now you're going to go out and get another David Riddick type of guy to back up. Are you really that much more comfortable with having Murray and Wall? Or are you comfortable with Murray and that guy? Or are you comfortable with getting rid of Murray and having Wall and David Riddick? Like, are those your goaltenders? I don't think that this is the ideal way. In the offseason, would agree, could be without him. Right now, no. Sandin, okay, I don't think you can be without him. I think you need to basically get an upgrade on him. You can't look at him as some Justin Hall, Alex Kerfoot type player. He is not. And we're joking ourselves if we tell ourselves that he is. He is not. He is a good player. He's a young player. He started to look really good this season. He's on a little bit of a decline the last month. Hopefully things can turn around when he comes back from injury, but to say we can be without him, I think is off base. I think you need an upgrade on him if you're going to do that. Number 44, again, same position for me as Sandin. Off season, sure, move on. Now, no, can't do it. Engvall, okay, yeah, could be without him. Trading number 44 is difficult, but not impossible. Depends on the will of the GM, I think is a harsh thing to say because you don't see that trade during the regular season. You don't see it for a contending team at the playoffs to trade, at the deadline, to trade like a heart and soul guy of the team. If that trade's coming, it's coming in the offseason, not at the deadline. Not at the deadline. And I understand that you can sit here and be like, work harder, trade this guy. It's a will thing. You got to work harder and want it to happen. Well, then are you forcing a trade? Are you actually getting the return you deserve? Is it rushed because it's at the deadline? I don't think that that's accurate. And upgrade the D, agree there. Need forward with grit. You just got Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari. Both guys have tons of grit. Like, what are we talking about with adding grit? I think that's, I would disagree with that. Another super chat here. Scout the Wookiee, thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you, Scout. Scout saying, do you think it's more of a positive that they didn't complete the choke, whereas past Leafs teams would have 100% lost this game? Yes, to a degree. I think that this is better to see this. It's still concerning though. You allowed this team back in, and what if it's Tampa, Washington, or maybe not Washington as much anymore, but Boston, Colorado, even Edmonton to an extent. What if it's those teams? Because they might be able to claw back. What about the game the other night against Chicago? What about the loss to Columbus? Like, you see these happen, and it's still concerning. It's not completely washed from their game, but it is better. It is better. It is more of a positive for sure. Thank you again for the super chat. Super chat here from Michael. Michael saying, although I'm not a big fan of Dubas, I made a good trade for O'Reilly. 25th overall first round pick, a third and fourth. That's nothing. Don't mind to trade away 2024 first pick to improve the player with term. Well, yeah, okay, fair enough. I don't disagree with that either. I think he made a great trade here. And you got to remember with the cost of this, it wasn't just acquiring O'Reilly. It was 75% of his salary is retained by Minnesota and St. Louis here, the combo of the two. And on top of this, you got Nola Chari. You made your fourth line better. You added grit. You added physicality. You added playoff performers, playoff type guys. That this guy was in Boston system. He was with Florida. Like, he's been around good teams, good players. He plays the right way, and O'Reilly just naturally has that. He's a top end player in the NHL. So I think it's a good trade. Don't think I missed any other super chats there, so leave those. Trying to see what you guys are, all the comments. You guys are firing today. Again, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to like this stream. There's about half of you haven't liked it yet, so if you are watching, you do like the content, please make sure to hit that like button. It goes a long way. There's no reason we can't get to 90 or 100 likes on this stream here tonight. Smash that like button. It is greatly appreciated. Goes a long way. Subscribing to the channel, again, also goes a long way. So thank you to everyone who watches. Thank you to everyone who supports. But thank you very much. Hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Help us get there. Stephen Beer saying, Zach, I believe Muzzin is retiring. His career is done. If he comes back from concussion injury, he is risking his health. I love Muzzin. He is a solid, gritty D-man, but he is done. I agree with that as well. Brendan Agnew, Leafs literally just stopped playing in third, but it's clear we need another D. Maybe no one wants to come of us because Hall will get more minutes than them somehow. That's such a sad statement. We understand that, right? We understand that that's a sad statement. Craig Harrison, if O'Reilly lights it up for the rest of the year, you can bet he thinks about re-signing in Toronto. I would agree. Mark Sherry saying Dubas on the block after Arouar Achari deal. Why would he be on the block? I don't understand. I think that was a good trade. I think we've yet to see how it works out, but I think it was a good trade. Yeah. Malik saying Leafs are better than last year. Tampa, you can say, has a worse team than last year. They beat us by 1 goal last playoffs. I don't see why this Leafs team is always getting belittled by the Tampa comparison. Well, because Tampa's a team that has the reputation of being a playoff team. They turn it on in the playoffs. They find it there. So I feel like whatever we see out of them right now, whatever we see out of them during the regular season isn't a true indicator of who they are in the playoffs because they play differently. And the other thing is they're going to go out and acquire somebody here at this deadline. They're 100% going to go out and acquire people at this deadline or ahead of this deadline. So why would you not put some respect on Tampa? They have gone to the Cup Finals, 3 years in a row now. They have no real sign of being completely different. They also have the best goaltender in the entire world who is a complete and utter game changer. He's a complete game changer. That's where I stand on that. I don't know. All right. Let's get to grades. Actually, play of the day. We haven't done that yet. Play of the day. All right. Play of the day for me. Let me know in the chat your play of the day. Want to hear everyone's. What do you think was the best play from this game here tonight? My play of the day is going to the O'Reilly backhand top shelf goal, where you see O'Reilly dish it over to Marner. Marner enters the zone. Backhand nifty pass behind the defenseman's skate as O'Reilly is driving the net. As he's going through, feeds, cuts across to him, pulls it over to his backhand, and rips it. That O'Reilly goal is what we saw him try the other night against Chicago, where he pulled it over the backhand. This guy clearly has a nasty backhand. He's going to try to use it. He's going to try to bring that out. That, to me, is the game changer. That is the play of the game, because O'Reilly, to get not only your first, but to come down immediately after and score your second against the team that made you basically hate the game of hockey, while you're now playing for a contender. You have a Conn Smythe and a Stanley Cup under your belt. That is my play of the day. My honorable mention is Ryan O'Reilly's hat-trick goal, because fourth career hat-trick. He does it in his third game with the Leafs. He's got to be looking around as Mitch Marner is just dishing to him on the first two. And obviously that one he worked for it himself. But he's looking around going, where the hell were these guys my whole life? Like, where were these guys while I've been playing in the NHL to this point? Because if I was playing alongside players like this, maybe Ryan O'Reilly could have been putting up 30-goal seasons on a regular basis. Just go to the right spot, and these guys are going to find you. They're going to be able to create offense. And even O'Reilly, I'm certain at one point during that game in the third period, when Marner tried to feed him as he was driving the net, probably very, very, very quickly realized, all I got to do is put my stick on the ice and I'm going to score some goals with this guy. And that was a pretty cool moment. Like, you're looking at O'Reilly. He never scored 30 in his career. He's probably sitting there right now like, I probably could have scored 30 playing with these guys. He hit 28. He's hit 28 a couple times. Never hit 30. Now he's looking around going, I got 3 in one game here tonight and 4 points, or 5 points, I guess, now in 4 games played, 3 games played. So, yeah, Ryan O'Reilly got to be enjoying himself. And I mean, also, I'll shout out as well the William Nylander goal, because that power play was buzzing. They created a lot of opportunities. They were basically like globetrotters running around out there at that point. John Tavares steps in the middle, fake slap shot, dishes over to Nylander, and Nylander doesn't even pull it down clean, rips it upstairs for that goal. So that gets a little shout out as well. Maybe not honorable mention shout out, but shout out nonetheless. It's what happens when nobody calls in. You just got to chug water because I'm gassed. Talking so much. Talking for an hour straight here. Mark Sherry. Yarncroke made a sweet play with his skate to help clear his zone. Matthews used his body to shield the puck along the boards. Those stuck out to me. Yeah, fair enough. Brennan Agnew, Marner 5 points tonight. What a night for him. Yeah, it was a great night. For Mitch Marner. 1 off from the team record in a single game. Stephen Beer, Zach, do you think our bottom 6 got better with Achari or still needs work? I think it got way better. Way better. You bring in a guy who's gritty, can play center, fills out your third or your fourth center position. You're very difficult to beat down the middle. Kills penalties. O'Reilly can kill penalties. Like, you just added these guys who can play in many different positions, in many different roles, who are very good players, physical players, playoff type players. You just added them in your lineup in one swoop. I think you are in a pretty good position here with Noel Acciari to round out that bottom 6. If anything, I think your concern kind of looks to upgrading on Kerfoot, maybe upgrading on Engvall and seeing if you can do that. But otherwise, I think your bottom 6 is a whole lot better now. And I really, really do think we're going to see a whole lot more life out of Aston Reese down the stretch playing alongside of Noel Acciari. I just truthfully think that the two of them as a as a duo on a line could become lethal in the playoffs, and we might see something out of them because I think they could just turn into like the Bash Bros back there, really. I do. Colin McGillis, do you think our bottom six can hang with the bottom six of the big dogs in the East? Yes. I think Achari helps that. I think that O'Reilly coming in and pushing guys down helps that. But again, I still think if you'd want to find an improvement, finding one for there might not be a bad idea. My concern really comes in if you decide that JT can't play wing and O'Reilly has to go down and play third line center, you're short a top six winger. And maybe you can fit Kerfoot in there. Maybe you can fit Yarncroke in there, whatever, however you want to spin it. But either way, you need to upgrade on a wing position because otherwise things get a little bit more dicey. So, yeah. Guys, let's all ELE. Everybody love each other in the chat. There's no reason to be going at each other's necks and stuff right now. Like, let's enjoy the win, enjoy the game tonight. Let's be okay with this. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Be happy. Gotta win. Let's rock and roll. We're all good. ELE. Everybody love each other. 14 likes away from 100. There's no reason we can't get there. We got 120 people watching. We're 14 likes away from 100. Hit the like button. It's that easy. You just 2 seconds. You're watching the video. Hit the like button. Done. Easy. Easy. Craig Harrison, Achari, ZAR, Yarncroke, Kampf can all hang. Yes. Would agree. Smash the like button. Steven Beer, Zach, do you feel confident against Tampa or Boston in the playoffs, or it doesn't matter who we play? I mean, thinking about this one, I try to be realistic on this show. Try not to be an insane person predicting things and being overly positive. I think they are a defensive upgrade away from sitting here and saying this team can win the Stanley Cup. I think they can get out of a round. I think they can maybe get past 2. I think Tampa, Boston, looking at it that way, yeah. So you know what? Tampa, first round, confident they can win. Confident. You know what? Forget it. Let's go. Confident they can win the first round. Let's just put it out there. Let's get excited.
Having the...
Great. Yeah.
Having the time of his life.
Yeah. That's me right now. Having the time of my life. Let's get excited. This team can win a round. They will win a round. This is the year they do it. And we're going to be here on the stream each time they do win the game. And they go one step closer to winning the series, winning a first round. They can do it. To be a true Cup contender, be a team you look at and say, that team can or should win the Stanley Cup this year, they need a defensive upgrade. You cannot roll into the playoffs with Justin Hall being in the position that he's in. You just absolutely cannot. It needs to be upgraded upon. Once you do that, once you improve the D-core, this team is in a position where they truly can win the Stanley Cup. I look at the forwards. You want to tinker a little bit? I think you can. You don't need to go big game hunting anymore. You got your guy. You got your bottom 6 forward. You're in a good spot. But in order to sit here and truly say they can win the Stanley Cup, they can go on, they can do big things, you need to go and improve on your defense. That is where I'm going to be at. That is my official stance. 4 more likes. There's no reason we can't get there. This team is winning around this year. This team is beating the Tampa Bay Lightning. Forget it. We're going to the Cup Finals. We're going to get a defenseman as well. Gordon Graham wants Dmitry Orlov. Sure, bring him on. Bring on Orlov. Bring on the Cup. This team can go a long way this year. Let's go. Let's get hyped.
Having the time of his life.
Hit that like button. No reason we can't get to 100. None. No reason. Let's get to our grades of the game here to wrap this one up. Let me know. Drop your grade in the chat. Maybe I'll throw out a poll. Give me your grade in the chat. All right. Firing a poll in the chat right now. You guys can let me know what your thoughts are. Vote on that. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. What the final results are that you guys are firing in. But at this point, as Stephen Beer is bringing up here, loves the energy. I appreciate it. I currently
having the time of his life.
Yeah, I am. We're gonna do it. This is the year. We're winning a round this year. It's happening. It's happening. Grade of the game tonight. A-. You score 6 goals. Excuse me. Five at regular play with a goaltender in net. Power play had some Globetrotter-esque moments. Ryan O'Reilly scores a hat trick. Like, you go 1 for 2 on the power play, 50% on the night. Good stuff. Hold Buffalo to no goals on their power play opportunity. You did get outshot, but you didn't get out hit. You went hit for hit with Buffalo. You see Noel Acciari get 7 hits here tonight. Ryan O'Reilly killing penalties. Like, I'm happy with what I saw from this team. I go with an A-. I think for me where it drops off is it drops off at the third period. Looked like they were disengaged. They said, hey, we won this one already. Like, let's go home. I think maybe a guy like O'Reilly, as it goes down, kind of goes in the room after and says, that isn't happening again. We're not falling off in the third period. We're not letting those ones go by. So I think it's a good presence to have around the room, but you did fall off in the third period. Samsonov didn't have a very good third period either, which was tough to see because some of those you kind of look for him to bail out the defenseman, maybe help things out a little bit, and he just kind of didn't. There was some that he should have had back, some that he needed to have, and that was kind of unfortunate to see from him. So hopefully from what he had from a good start to the game, it can get rolling, get things going into the end. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Thank you guys for getting that to 100 likes as well. But again, you see Ryan O'Reilly with the hat trick. Looking at the guys who scored here tonight, like Ryan O'Reilly again, JT, Bunting, Nylander, Ryan O'Reilly. You saw this from all the big guys. They stepped up here tonight. Close things out in the third period. Don't let it get close. Don't let it get uncomfortable like that. A-, I think, is a comfy spot for this team. Just got to find ways to close out the game. And as Stephen Beer says here, Zach, for me, it's A- since they scored 5+ goals and Ryan O'Reilly scoring the hat trick. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think that was a good one. But, yeah, all the big boys stepped up here tonight. Get it done. And, I mean, like, John Tavares, goal and 3 assists. Ryan O'Reilly, 3 goals, 1 assist. Mitch Marner, 0 goals, 5 assists on the night. The stars of the game, O'Reilly, Marner, Tavares, and that is your second line for the Toronto Maple Leafs, ladies and gentlemen. So whatever you want to say about this team, maybe not being that second line, not being good, not being right, I think that they'll be fine. I think that was the right guy. So I'm happy with where we're at with this Leafs team right now. But Leafs fans, Thank you guys so much for tuning in here tonight. It is greatly appreciated as always. This was the live breakdown of game number 58 of the Toronto Maple Leafs regular season against the Buffalo Sabres, winning this one 6-2-3, moving to 35-15 and 8 on the year. Ryan O'Reilly gets a hat trick, 4th career hat trick. Mitch Marner, 5 assists on the night, 1 away from tying a team single game assist record. So shout out to Mitch Marner for that. What a night from him. William Nylander on the board, Bunting on the board, Noel Acciari, 7 hits. Great stuff all around. You come out and you beat a team that you've had trouble with traditionally. So loud is nice to see, and it is a great first period that leads this one off. But Leafs fans, thank you guys so much for tuning in. See you guys again live after the game against the Minnesota Wild Friday night. Keep believing.